You're tuned in to Nerd Overload, your weekly pop and geek culture show covering movies, TV, games, and comics. Now your hosts, Cody Pinnick, Sam Dunham, and Josh Harrison.
Welcome to Nerd Overload, the pop and geek culture show where we've been cursed by a witch to talk about pop and geek culture news once a week for the rest of our lives or face terrible consequences.
The direst of consequences, yes.
I'm Cody.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Samantha.
We have a fantastic show for you this week. Pretty video game heavy this week.
Sorry, Mom.
Yeah. Sorry, folks. No, we're going to be talking about the Nintendo Direct. We're going to be talking about a little bit about the PlayStation State of Play, but we have some other stuff going on too. But first, let's get into some things we have been checking out.
Check it out!
I love that jingle.
Yeah, it's good every time.
Every time. Gets me so pumped for talking about what I've done this week.
What have you done this week?
Not a whole lot.
No.
What have you done?
What have I done? No, so the main thing I've been doing, I continue to play Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, the phone game. It continues to be a lot of fun and very addictive, and you can set it so that you don't actually have to do hardly anything. So it's very just kind of sit back, idle, and relax kind of game.
It plays itself.
Kinda, yeah. So the auto attack mode makes it so the only thing that you interact with is the limit breaks, and the game's AI is pretty smart. So it's not like it's picking just the most generic attacks over and over. No, it actually does a good job taking into account the enemy's weakness and what you have on your character and stuff like that. It's actually pretty nice.
So if you're only into like being a gearhead about character stats and equipment and stuff,
which I am,
that's what you do. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, it's perfect for me at work because I have to be engaged in work enough to not be able to just sit there and tap and think about it, but I can be distracted enough that I can, okay, I'm going to level this thing up a couple times, and then basically hit the automation, let it do its thing, and then come back and look at my stats. Big number go up.
Big number go. Everybody love big number go up.
It's the best part. It's the best part of video games is when the number, you get more of it. But no, the game continues to be fun. The story modes are pretty interesting. So I love the Final Fantasy universe, but have had minimal contact with everything outside of the main game. Like I've seen Advent Children, but that's about it. And I think I've been finding it very interesting to get to know some of the side characters and side stories and backstories of some of the other...
Your Zacks and your...
Yeah.
Mainly Zach.
Mainly Zach, and then the three made-up fake characters for the Battle Royale game. Because you played that game a little bit, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, those characters, like a character named Glenn and a character named Matt.
No, I don't remember seeing them ever.
Okay, yeah. I think this is an entirely new story based around when they were first creating the First Soldier project. Like, they're the first ones that have been Mako infused and whatever.
I wish they didn't gatekeep that story behind already playing a bunch of the original story and, what's the Zack game? Crisis Core. Because I've played Crisis Core and I've played the original game. Like, let me have the new stuff, please.
Well, they do let you have the new stuff pretty early on. I mean, I think you have to get through the Reno fight in the Sanctuary in the main game, and the Zack stuff takes maybe 20 minutes.
Oh, so I just need to stick it out a little bit. Well, I'm probably about done with the Zack stuff.
You're just about there, yeah. So. And the new content, it goes like I thought the story wrapped up and it just keeps going. It's not the most interesting in the world, but mostly because it is so divorced from everything else. Like they're introduced an entire region of the world that wasn't in the previous games that the capital is at war with.
That's weird.
And a whole thing. It's like when they were first building the Mako reactors. Like they're first scouting it out, and there's a region of the world that is more more magically inclined or whatever. So they're sending scout groups out.
Oh, they're going to blow it all up. It's going to be gone.
Oh, yeah.
Before the end of the game.
Oh,
that's one thing I did when I played Crisis Core. It starts in a town that's not in the original game. I'm like, you can't just add a town to the world.
Oh, yeah, no, it doesn't
And then by the end of
exist.
the thing, it gets blown up. So
Yeah.
that's why.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. But no, it continues to be fun. And I did figure out a workaround to play it on my PC.
Nice.
Yeah. I've been using BlueStacks, the phone emulator, whatever.
The actual Crisis Core game is a banger, and you should play it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Cool. I mean, this seems like it does a really good job kind of telling the story.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's somewhere between Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy.
Nice. Okay. Right on.
So I guess kind of like the remake.
Yeah, a little bit. That's what it kind of sounds like. Sure. But beyond that, the other thing I did was I booted up the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
Oh yeah, the DLC.
The DLC. I have just dipped my toe into the DLC, just the tiniest bit, and it's still more Scarlet and Violet for better or worse. The frame rate still is.
Oh no!
It's actually a little bit worse in spots.
No.
Because they tried to make the area more populated and more visually interesting, not just giant wide tracks of nothing.
Yeah.
Which means it looks great, but it means at times it drops down to like 10 frames a second.
Oh,
It's,
Oof.
I mean, absolutely playable, not the most optimized.
So yeah,
thing.
like the rest of the game.
Like the rest of the game, yeah. But, and also, it's kind of weird that you spend the entire main game getting to know, doing this whole, like, I'm meeting my friends at school and doing all this stuff and getting to know all the characters. And this DLC doesn't feature any of them.
Okay, bye.
It's like, nope, you're going to become a foreign exchange student to another country and all your friends are gone. Don't worry about them. Here's a whole bunch of new people. One that absolutely hates you.
Well, that's refreshing to have a Pokemon character that doesn't like you.
Oh, yeah, no, it is. You have a new rival in this new area that is a jerk on the level, if not more, than the original rival. Or Scarlet, or not a Scarlet Violet, but Gold Silver.
Oh, the Gold Silver guy was a criminal jerk.
Yeah, no, this one is like, hey, you're the new kid, right? I hate you, and I'm going to knock your face in the dirt. Get on my level, dude.
I would get this DLC right away if I wasn't already so entrenched in Starfield.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. How is Starfield, by the way?
Oh, I like it so much.
Does he still hate Mondays?
Oh,
we
yeah.
We made that joke last week, but it's a good joke.
Ate so much lasagna.
So much cosmic lasagna.
Star lasagna.
Uh-huh.
It's not groundbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
It's not No Man's Sky, but it's still fun despite it all. I saw somebody describe it as video game comfort food, and that's exactly what it is.
That makes sense. I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, a Bethesda game, whether it's broken or not, whether it's doing new things or not, it's still going to be fun.
Yeah.
It's fine.
People wouldn't buy them 500 times if they weren't having fun.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it doesn't push the envelope. It's not even any more impressive than any of their other games, I don't think.
Yeah.
It does work a lot better. I've run into very few...
Well, that's that Microsoft money.
Yeah.
That extra level of polish. And not even polish, but just like one more round of bug testing.
Yeah. Like I said last time, it's only crashed on me back to the dashboard one time, which is pretty good.
That's not bad for a launch game.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not bad.
I saw somebody like on Facebook or something complain about, we're all just beta testers for games now. And it's like, this ain't the right game to be making that complaint about. This one's pretty solid.
This one's solid. But, there's been a handful of games that have come out that have been really solid lately. This one, I've heard Baldur's Gate 3. Well, because that one was in early access for like 5 years or whatever.
Yeah, it better be.
Yeah, but it was pretty well done.
I thought that was so funny when people were surprised how polished it was. It's like, you've been working on it forever. It better be.
Yeah. But like Street Fighter 6 came out and there were very little, if any, bugs. I mean, there's always going to be bugs, but very little. So like
Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom was flawless out there. They polished that for a year.
They really did,
said.
yeah.
They said the last year they worked on it was all polished, and it shows.
It shows, and that's good. I would rather wait for... I'd rather wait for a game to be released the correct way than rush it out. I think Nintendo man, was that Iwata, actually had a quote about that?
It was Miyamoto.
It was Miyamoto.
But like, maybe...
But it was also that quote maybe have...
taken out of context, or maybe he never even said it. Nobody knows, but
it's
like...
too good of a quote.
Yeah.
Because it's, what is it, a rushed game is seldom good, but a late game is... better or something like that.
A rushed game is bad forever or something. I can't even remember. It doesn't matter.
Quote. It does. Yeah, it's not that important.
But it doesn't really apply in the world of patches nowadays anyway.
No,
because a rushed game is not necessarily bad forever.
Yeah. Well, look at Cyberpunk.
Yeah. Which
that
I've
game
heard
was terrible on launch. But
I've heard the new stuff they're putting in is really, really good.
I've heard it's pretty good as well. Yeah.
Although I thoroughly enjoyed the game when it came out, but I didn't play it on a console is the thing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the only thing I really want to talk about Starfield is spoiler territory, so I don't know if I want to...
It's a little early for spoilers. I think if we wait another week or two, probably by that point, it's fair game. But for now, it's...
I did find out that I was doing ship combat all wrong the whole time.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, after you get a lock on the other ship, you can basically like do the VAT system from the Bethesda Fallout. You can target individual parts of the ship in slow motion.
Oh,
and that
nice.
makes the fights a lot easier. I was having kind of a hard time.
Oh, gotcha.
And it makes it a lot easier when you know how to do it right.
Makes sense.
The game is really not good about explaining how things work, which is a double-edged sword because it gives it that like exploratory feeling that they want it to have, but also like I don't want to have to discover how to put gas in a gas tank. Like, I should just be able to do that.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
I was playing with the outpost building and trying to get a helium powered thing to power my base, and it's like, oh, I need to build this first and connect it here, and the game didn't tell me any of this. I had to Google how to do it. Even then, it's still fun.
Yeah. Oh, I just thought of another thing that I've been checking out. Sorry to jump back. Sorry to take it from you here.
Oh no, I was done with Starfield.
Okay, but so I sat down and modded my 3DS the other day. So I've been putting a bunch of kind of weirdo games on there and stuff.
Nice.
And I tested out the capacity for modded games by starting up Pokemon Yellow Cramorant Edition.
Amaranth.
Someone went through and took Pokemon Yellow and modded it. Did a couple things like you can catch all 150. Well, there's 154 in the game this time because they went through and added a couple more,
including Cramorant.
Cramorant is so Pokemon Yellow is the one where Pikachu follows you around and stuff. They've replaced him with that seagull. What spits up fish?
You remember this is the one that eats whole things from, was it
dive or surf, and then it eats. It's a bluebird, and sometimes it'll swallow a Pikachu instead of a fish.
Yeah,
and it spits it out. Yeah, the guy went through and edited every sprite. You can talk to your Cramorant that follows you around. Added moves to the game where it has the move Gulp Missile, which is basically it swallows a fish in round 1 and spits it out at the opponent in round 2. It's some trainers make reference to the fact that, boy, your Pokemon that's following you is kind of goofy looking. Because Cramorant is this pelican, but he has like the wall eyes. Like he's like zero thoughts are going on in its head. And But otherwise, it's balanced. It's actually balanced really well.
Nice.
Like there's a lot of they added a couple of items to evolve like trade only evolutions. They added I think the item's called the linking cable or something like that.
Like what was that? The last Pokemon game
Arceus.
on the Switch. Arceus. Yeah, they did that. That's how they handled that too.
Well, that's how they're handling it in Pokemon Sleep as well. And actually, Scarlet Violet, I think they have that item in there as well.
Linking cable.
The linking cable. But yeah, it's otherwise it plays just like the original Pokemon games, but it has an extra level of polish and an extra level of whatever. And apparently, post game, the SS Anne comes back, and you can surf around it. And you can search underneath the truck. And guess what's there?
It's Mew.
It's Mew. That's the whole thing.
Gotta get under that truck.
Mm-hmm. Just like the old rumors of the pre-internet rumors about Pokemon.
Speaking of ships.
Yes.
One Piece.
One Piece.
We've watched the live action One Piece.
Did you yo-ho-ho take a bite of Gum Gum?
Yes, I'm fully on the Gum Gum train now because I really, really liked it. It's really, really fun and fresh and just... it's just really good. It gets the tone right. Well, at first I was guessing because I had not seen the anime.
Sure.
But I've since watched the anime. We've kind of got them at the point where they're like at the same point.
Nice.
So
okay.
one's not spoiling the other.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I'm the big One Piece fanboy now.
All right.
I initially, when I watched it, I don't know, however long ago, 1,000 years ago.
Like the 4Kids.
Yeah, well, for one, it was the 4Kids dub.
Yeah,
when I originally
the
had
Saturday
watched
morning
it.
cartoon dub, and that was bad.
Yeah, and I was put off by the character designs because they are weird,
Ugly.
and ugly. But I've come around on that because it's more fun.
Sure.
They're fun designs that are interesting to look at instead of just being generic anime.
Yeah.
It's almost like you can see a definite Toriyama inspiration in
Oh, sure. Yeah,
Oda's
you can
art
see
style.
that. I
It kind of
suppose,
has
yeah.
the whole thing kind of has a what if Dragon Quest was pirates feel to it. Like, I don't know why it gives me that feeling, but it kind of does. I don't know.
Well, you're like, your crew is your party and stuff, and they have magic powers, kinda.
Yeah.
Or at least the main guy has magic powers. Monkey.
Yeah, Monkey D. Luffy.
Monkey D. Luffy.
He's gonna be the king of the pirates. Whoever it is that they got to play him in the live action captures his spirit just dead on.
I saw an interview with that guy, and he said that he met with the creator of One Piece, and the creator said, "When I look at you, I picture like as soon as he met him, he's like, you're the only choice. You are Monkey D. Luffy as far as I'm concerned."
He does such a good. He embodies
That's
that
the
like
overly excitable,
positive,
bright-eyed. Like, I'm gonna be a pirate king.
Yeah.
Here we go.
And it's
just not annoying. Like,
yeah, it's in a way that's not annoying too. That's what gets me.
Oh, that's good. At least
he's not like the shonen protagonist.
Sure.
That's like, he's not the My Hero Academia kid or Naruto. Like there's something more going on in there that makes him more endearing.
See, that's good because I always put him right there with a like a Naruto or whatever. It's like, I'm gonna be the best. Hooray!
Yeah, there is just something about his attitude that makes him more endearing than those characters.
Yeah, good.
It's just he seems so much more genuine, or something. It's hard to put my finger on.
So, as far as the other characters are concerned, does the guy put his sword in his mouth?
Yes.
Okay.
That's so cool. I love it so much. There's a great line where Luffy's like, "Where's the third sword go?" And then after he fights with it in his mouth, he's like, "Oh, that's where it goes."
Yeah.
But what a clever idea! Have a guy that fights with a sword in his mouth.
Sure. Yeah.
And distinctly piratey. It's even though
it is a little piratey.
even
yeah.
though he's technically not a pirate at first, but it
Sure.
just seems piratey to fight with a sword in your mouth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nami's got that Fujiko in her.
Oh,
She's very Fujiko from Lupin, which I never picked up on before. She's a sneaky thief that will put one over on you.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, good. I'm glad the live action and the anime is good.
Yeah,
you only have like what 1,000 or so episodes of the anime.
The other great thing is there's so many episodes. I'll probably die before I see all of them. There'll always be One Piece to watch.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Never get bored. There's always One Piece.
Yeah.
See, I'm waiting for the entire series to end so I can watch it all in one piece.
Like
No, I won't.
Like Gold
watch.
Roger intended.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been playing the heck out of the new Monster Hunter Niantic.
Oh yeah,
GPS
Tell me about that.
Monster Hunter Now.
Monster Hunter Pokemon Go.
Which is what it is.
Yeah.
But I like it better so far because it's more, the battle systems feels more proactive and it feels like you're actually doing something other than just tapping a button and then letting the stats sort themselves out.
Well, it kind of had to be, Monster Hunter is more of a proactive game where Pokemon Go was designed for catching first and everything else was an afterthought.
Yeah, this is the most game-feeling game that Niantic has done, I think.
Oh, good.
Because when you fight a monster, you are actively like swiping forward and back to dodge and roll back and toward the monsters. You circle them, hitting different parts of them. They're weaker in certain areas than others. And if you hit the right part repeatedly, you can break it to get more drops, like in the original game.
Sure.
And there's just picking stuff up off the map as you walk around. Like I guess you don't really do that in Pokemon, but you do in this.
Well, you can kind of do that with like the stops and stuff.
And this is kind of the same thing. They're the same locations that are Pokestops are like resource deposits, like places to mine but there's also just they can show up on the map too, like a Pokemon would show up along with the monsters.
Okay.
And there's big monsters that are more of a time investment to fight.
Yeah.
And then there's also smaller ones that you can tap 3 times and they're dead.
Okay, let's see. That was the other thing I was concerned about with it because Monster Hunter is also very much a cooperative game, and I really didn't want to sink into something that like you couldn't play without having to team up with other people.
Oh yeah, I haven't fought any monster where I felt like I couldn't handle it myself.
Okay,
but I'm like level 13 at this point, which I don't know if it will reach a point where I can't handle the monsters alone.
And that's when they'll start charging you real dollar money for the team up orb or whatever.
Yeah, I haven't done a multiplayer fight, but they seem really easy to start.
Okay.
And you just like scan each other's QR codes and then you fight a monster. And also they have a good paintball system where if you have the item paintball and you see a monster you want to fight, but you're not in the position to do it right then, if you hit it with a paintball, it'll put it in your menu, and later when you feel like fighting it, you can do it.
Okay, that's cool. That's actually really cool. All right.
And they've handed them out pretty regularly. When you level up, you get a paintball.
Okay. Well, yeah, I will. That's one of those phone games that I was wanting to check out. I probably will sometime this weekend. And yeah.
Yeah, I've been having fun with it, and it hasn't like done the mobile phone game switcheroo where all of a sudden it's like, oh, this isn't fun anymore.
Yeah.
Like suddenly I hit the wall and it's not fun anymore
and
because
then you check out. Yeah.
Because I didn't give them any money.
Right. Yeah. Going back to Ever Crisis, I have a feeling in 6 days that is when it's going to stop being fun because they had a launch, like all of the drops and things are doubled for 6 days.
Oh, so it's going to start getting
It's going to start getting real grindy in less than a week, and that's probably when I'll drop off of it. That's why I want to try to get as much of the story done as I can, and then not touch it until the next big content update or whatever. Because I'll probably do another like introductory like whatever. With it.
This has been the iOS game report.
You know what? We don't talk about phone games all that often.
That's true.
This is a nice, slightly different. We do tech. We talk about tech sometimes. It's all good. All right, well, hey, let's go ahead and take a break. And when we come back, we will get into some news.
Long Play is a radio show.
Long Play is a lifestyle.
It is a radio show.
It's a lifestyle.
Hey, calm down, you two. Long Play is both a radio show and a lifestyle. If part of your very existence includes playing old vinyl records,
It is.
then Long Play's the radio show for you. I invite you to tune in Friday nights at 11 and Saturday afternoons at 3 to see what it's like to have
The best of both worlds.
Hey, we're back from the break. Let's go ahead and get into some news.
It's me, I'm Mario. That's not the voice. You'll have to wait to hear the voice.
It was kind of the voice. It was kind of the voice. So yeah, we're gonna get into some Nintendo news, and I figured I would bring the clips out of storage just for that.
I hope you like Mario role-playing games and also ones that aren't new.
Yeah, there's a lot of not new stuff, a lot of remakes on this one.
Actually, just Mario games in general. I hope you like Mario games that aren't new.
Yeah. I think it's... So before we get into the nitty-gritty of it, just kind of general vibe of it, I wasn't especially impressed with this one. I mean, there was some good stuff in it.
No, I felt like it was pretty mediocre overall.
Yeah, you know what it really felt like? It felt like, okay, we have all these games that are pretty much done. We need to, and we're ramping up the Switch 2. So we're going to go ahead and push out a bunch of smaller titles saving all the big stuff for Switch 2.
I would almost guarantee this is the last Nintendo Direct that's focused solely on the Nintendo Switch.
I agree. And it feels like it.
Yeah, and it's been a long time coming. I'm ready for the next one, please.
I am too. Yeah. I was thinking about it the other day. I still have my launch day Switch.
I do too.
Yeah?
I mean, I traded it in for a newer one with a longer battery life, but I still have it. It still works.
Yeah, mine's still, the battery's not great in mine, and I've had to replace the Joy-Cons like 3 times.
Yeah, I've never gotten a drifting Joy-Con.
Really? Yeah, I will, every one of them I've gotten a drift on, but no.
Have you? No, you haven't. You got the Animal Crossing one, though.
I do.
Yeah, that's one Jordan has, is the Animal Crossing one. But no, let's talk about some Nintendo stuff.
My brother's got the Zelda, the Tears of the Kingdom Special Edition one. It is so rad looking.
Nice. So yeah, let's talk about some things. What are some of the games that are in the Nintendo Direct?
I thought the most interesting one was the Princess Peach game.
It kind of was, wasn't it?
It was the freshest, most different thing they had.
Yeah.
And they actually kind of explained what it was, although I'm still not really clear on what kind of game it is.
I'm not either. I mean, it's definitely like a platformer with different... Peach is a Kirby this time.
Yeah. Well,
kinda.
She's Cutie Honey, which is an obscure call for...
That's why I said Kirby, because it's kind of that too. But yeah, she changes costume based on what level she's playing in, and it gives her scenario specific abilities.
And these costumes are so well designed.
They're really well done.
They're all so cute and good.
Mm-hmm.
The sword fighter Peach, she straight up turns into that Osamu Tezuka Princess Knight character, more or less. I'm pulling out all these really...
You really are.
Fairly obscure...
Yeah, narrow casting here a little bit.
I hope you like old anime, because I've got so many references to it. Although, honestly, the most I know of Cutie Honey is from the Hideaki Anno live action.
The Cutie Honey the Live or whatever.
It's so good.
It's very good.
It's a good movie.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, that one's a good one. There's like a chef Peach. There's a detective Peach. There were a bunch of other ones.
The Detective Peach costume also is really good. There's a Kung Fu Peach.
Oh,
which
Kung Fu Peach. That's
I think
right.
was a missed opportunity that they didn't give her the yellow Game of Death suit. But
That would have been great.
I don't know. Maybe
or like
they,
a pink version of the
Oh
yellow.
yeah, that would be perfect. But
Yeah.
maybe they didn't want to get sued by Quentin Tarantino. 'Cause
Well,
she would have looked like Uma Thurman in
I
Kill
suppose.
Bill.
But her feet wouldn't have been visible.
That's
so
true.
It's all good.
I'm not 100% sure. Like, I guess it's just all kinds of gameplay types.
I think so. Yeah.
I don't know, it looks fun. I'll get it when it comes out. Sure.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's definitely kind of up there on the list of things to check out.
I'm man
for
enough
sure.
to purchase the game about Princess Peach.
Yeah, why not?
I bought Super Princess Peach when it came out.
See, I didn't get that one, but I was. I think that was when I was kind of out of gaming a little bit at that point.
It's
but,
a solid game.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. So they're doing a remake of Luigi's Mansion: The Dark of the Moon, which was
Dark Moon.
Dark Moon,
the second one for the
Okay.
3DS.
For the 3DS,
which is
okay.
a great game. I've played through it more than once, which makes me not particularly want to play through it again.
I am hoping they do another pass of the graphical fidelity on it because the trailer looked rough.
Yeah, it didn't look all that much better than the 3DS.
It didn't look finished.
Which is a shame because Luigi's Mansion 3 is a gorgeous game.
Yeah, I'll be honest, and this is maybe the first time that I've ever noticed that and gone, okay, I bet I know which company did the port. It looks like a Grezzo.
Yeah.
Because they focus more on getting the gameplay right, and the graphics are usually pretty flat, I guess.
Like the Zelda Ocarina of Time port for 3DS.
Well, they're fine, but it
does the job. And
Yeah.
it certainly looks better than the Nintendo 64 version, but it's missing a certain something.
Yes. Yeah. And this definitely looked like it was missing a certain something. So
just get the 3DS game. Just get a 3DS. Get the 3DS game.
Yeah, just go find a discontinued 3DS and go find this game that hasn't been in print for forever and do that.
Just get Mario RPG for Super Nintendo.
Go get a boxed copy of Super Mario RPG. Yeah.
No, I'm really glad this is getting a remake because it is a very, very good game that is hard to get a hold of otherwise.
Yeah, and it looks like the gameplay is pretty much the same. I think they're adding team attacks.
Yeah, they're adding team up attacks and they're adding rematches against the bosses.
That's cool.
I'm just glad to see they're adding things to it at all. Because I don't want a straight port.
It needs to have something different.
Yeah, add some fresh stuff in there.
I agree.
I mean, I'm privileged enough to have it on the Super Nintendo, so I could, if I just wanted to play the regular game, I very well could.
And I am cheap enough to have a ROM of it.
Yeah. And it was
except if Nintendo's listening, because if Nintendo's listening, no, I don't.
It was on the Super NES Mini as well.
Yeah. It's out there.
It's probably easier to get a hold of one of those than it is the cartridge.
Sure.
But yeah, it continues to look really good, and they did a really good job redoing the graphics and stuff. It still has
it's very charming.
Yeah, it still has the look of the original game. It kind of has that thing going on where it looks like how you remember it.
They're a little more squat. They're kind of it's stylized. I like it. Yeah.
We have speaking of DS and 3DS games, that Another Code game is coming to the Switch in a double pack. It was the old, I guess, kind of point and click adventure. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Because you really liked this one when it came out forever ago, which is probably why we can't remember exactly what kind of game it was. It was like a puzzle thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of puzzles that used a lot of the DS gimmicks. I remember one where you had to fold the DS a little bit so it reflected the one screen into the other, the complete a code and
Oh, interesting.
It makes you wonder how they're gonna handle that on the Switch. I didn't think about that till now.
And blowing into the microphone and
all stuff the Switch doesn't do.
I bet you they'll do something with the IR camera on the front. Instead of holding something over, they'll say, okay, put something in front of the IR camera to block that or something. Would be my guess, but I don't know.
It also has the sequel with it, which was never released in America. That was a Wii game, so that should be a straightforward port situation, but also cool to play. It's cool there's something new in this.
Yeah, that is neat.
At least for us, anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was a new F-Zero game. Everybody get excited. It's brand new F-Zero. Except it's the Super Nintendo one, and 99 people can play it at a time.
See, I wish I would have been more excited if it were F-Zero 99, but it were the N64 version, because it would not have been that much more difficult.
I think that would have been the better move too.
Yeah.
But there is something I've since played it since I saw them reveal it. It was one of those things where they're like, it's out right now. And there is something inherently charming about widescreen Super Nintendo Mode 7.
Yeah.
With like high def.
Oh, it looks neat. And I guess we should say what F-Zero is. F-Zero's a future racing game where you have hover cars, essentially.
And they're very flimsy and easily explode.
Oh, yeah. They're made out of crepe paper and spit. And you tap them and they explode. You look at them the wrong way and they explode. But, and there are 99 people on a track.
And it works. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And like, I was surprised how much I liked it and how much different stuff there actually is in it. I thought it would be a pretty much straight up F-Zero, but there's actually a lot of new elements.
Oh, cool.
They added the spin attack from, I guess the 64
F-Zero
one was the
X,
first place that showed up. And like, when you get good attacks on people or do good stuff, little gold orbs come out, and you collect enough of those, and you can like ascend to a floating track above that's easier. So you can get like an advantage on the rest of the racers.
Interesting. So it incentivizes doing the attacks and stuff, and being risky a little bit.
And it seems like if you the more players you knock out, it makes your health meter larger.
Oh, nice. That's a good idea.
And it has that classic F-Zero risk reward where your health is also your boost energy. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to use too much boost because you'll open yourself up to just immediately die.
Yeah.
But it's surprisingly fun and different. They did more than I initially had thought. It's still not a new F-Zero game, though.
Yeah.
And to go that long without a real game and then kind of just spit out this like half game is kind of upsetting.
Well, this is them. I feel this is them testing the waters. If enough people download and play F-Zero 99, they might put another F-Zero game into the pipeline, or at the very least port the GameCube.
They really need.
One.
They should just do that because that game is fantastic.
Yeah, it was really good. More Mario games. Mario versus Donkey Kong.
Yeah, I guess it's a remake of the Game Boy Advance Mario versus Donkey Kong, which is like the most middle of the road video game Nintendo's ever made.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's like Donkey Kong 94 on the Game Boy, but worse.
Yeah.
And
they should have just done Donkey Kong 94.
Yeah, all the graphics in the Game Boy Advance version looked stale and plastic and lifeless, and they continue to look that way in the upgrade.
Yeah, it's not the best. It's not the best.
But I'm surprised they didn't use the Donkey Kong design from the movie. Which isn't that different, but like
different enough.
You redesigned them for a reason, I'm assuming. So like, let's see that.
Oh yeah, I agree. Oh, you know, there was one more Mario game that is getting redone. And
it was Paper Mario.
Paper Mario, the Thousand-Year Door. They announced that, and I could hear the screams of thousands and thousands of classic video game resellers in agony, because now their games that they would sell for hundreds of dollars mean nothing.
Oh, it'll still sell for hundreds of dollars.
I know, but like now it's much easier to access essentially the same game as before. It looks exactly the same.
I'm sure it's up-res and whatnot, but there's only so much you can do with Paper Mario. Like,
sure.
Now it's HD, but it honestly looked pretty crisp on the GameCube.
They definitely didn't change a lot of the game because it still has that noose from that one scene. They saw that in the trailer.
Oh, really? They didn't take the noose out?
They didn't take the noose out of that one town.
Road port.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like I should be more excited about it than I am, but I'm just like, I've played this game before.
Sure.
I've played it more than once. Like, I'd rather have a new Paper Mario that was like this one.
Yeah, but they just had a new Paper Mario, the one with the origami, right?
And that was a good game, too.
Yeah.
I know the fanboys don't love it because anything that's different than Thousand-Year Door is a crime.
Sure. Anything that's too normal is stale, and anything that is even a toe out of line is awful.
Yeah.
So no one can win.
I honestly like the 64 Paper Mario a little bit better. I'm probably the only one on planet Earth that thinks this, but I do.
No. Former guest of the show, Jordan Taylor, would absolutely agree with you. She didn't have a lot of video games growing up, but she has the one game. I believe she told me she had a Nintendo 64 in college, and she had 2 games for it: Paper Mario and Pokemon Puzzle League, and she completed both of those.
There's just something about that. The first one I feel like has more character or something.
Yeah, and the little bit of it that I've played, I agree. Yeah. We got a couple more things here.
Tomb Raider. I've always been a big Tomb Raider fan.
Yeah.
And now the original first 3 games are getting a port to the Switch and all the other consoles too.
Yeah.
And it looks good, but not too good, which I think in this case I would prefer.
Yeah.
There's something just visually pleasing about the QB levels.
A little bit of jank.
Yeah.
Tomb Raider has to have a little bit of jank.
It looks like they focused mostly on making Lara Croft look better, and then the rest of it was kind of like, well, I don't want to do too much.
But there's a toggle button. You can toggle it on and off.
I love when remasters do that, when you can immediately switch back and forth between the new and old version.
Yeah.
The Halo ones do that.
Mm-hmm.
The Monkey Island remasters.
I wish
the
new Crash Bandicoot redos or whatever. I wish they had that.
I wish you could just play the original games in this, because there's a lot different about them, and like you'd have no context if you didn't know that they were remakes. You'd have no context of where it came from.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for Crash Bandicoot historians.
Well, yeah. Those crash heads.
Yeah. Trombone Champ, probably the funniest video game that I think has ever been made.
Oh, it's so great.
That's like genuinely funny gameplay. Like it's so rare that they make a game that's funny because of the game mechanics and not just funny things happening. Like this is a mechanically hilarious game about playing the trombone.
and badly.
Yeah. You can't play it good. You can only play it close to good.
yeah. There's no perfect. And I like that this game uses the IR camera. It's one of the few that uses the IR camera on the Joy-Con.
Yeah, it has unique control modes, unique to the Switch. It has gyro control, because the game basically is you hold down a button to move a thing up and down to meet the notes as they come out.
Right. Yeah.
And the control's so analog that it's difficult to line them up.
Yeah, so you end up with
perfectly.
hilarious joke songs and stuff. Also, the song choices in the game are hilarious because they're all public domain.
Yeah.
Like from the 1800s or whatever.
Because it's an indie game.
Yeah.
They're not gonna they don't have the money to pay for.
Although they did make one original ska song.
Yeah.
Which is great.
And the description says, because people on Twitter kept telling me there had to be a ska song in the game.
Yeah. And it's like the worst thing.
Yeah.
It really is. But it's great. Let's see. There was a Splatoon DLC that I just didn't care much for.
It was hard to tell exactly what was going on. They didn't explain it very well.
Well, I think it has to do with the 2 hosts from Splatoon 2, because
the previous better hosts from the other game.
Yeah, Pearl and Marina.
Yeah.
Are that the names? Because Pearl is like a little robot now.
Yeah, and it seems like maybe it's like kind of a rogue-like situation or something.
It's like you're you go into the cyber zone.
Yeah.
The cyberspace or whatever.
And they said it's meant to be played over and over again, which sounds like a roguelike, I guess.
Yeah, it kind of does.
Well, I think that could be fun for Splatoon.
It's
but
different.
They didn't really make clear what exactly was going on. Made it hard to get excited for it because I don't understand it.
Also, it was they were like devoid of color.
Yeah, which is odd for Splatoon.
Yeah.
A game
based on color.
On garish color.
Yes. Thank you for working that in.
There was a Spy Family game.
Yeah.
Which is kind
I know nothing about Spy Family.
Out of nowhere. Especially during a Nintendo Direct, they usually don't shill random anime games.
Yeah.
But I was kind of half surprised that it was only about Anya, the little psychic girl from the show.
Oh, is that her deal?
Yeah, she's psychic.
She's
She
psychic.
can read minds.
Okay.
It focuses on her and not her adoptive parents, who are traditional video game type characters.
Sure.
Like one's a spy and the other's an assassin. That's the easy way out. Just make a third-person shooter and a Bayonetta, and you're done.
And you're
but
done. Right.
They went the other way, which Anya is like the standout character of the show that everyone loves. So it makes sense.
Really, I thought it would have been You're
the mom, assassin mom.
Yeah, I mean, because having no experience with the show whatsoever, but living on Twitter, you would think that Yor would be the one that people are into more, because I see cosplay of
Yor is great.
a lot.
All the characters are great on the show, but like Anya is the standout character.
Gotcha. Okay.
She's the funny one. She's the meme generator.
All right. Do we want to hop off of the Nintendo Direct stuff and move on to our couple other things? We do have a couple other things.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Let's talk about the weird Fables thing.
Oh, yeah. So this dropped late last night. So we're recording this on Friday. So it would have been Thursday night, Friday morning. Bill Willingham, the creator of the DC comic Fables. Fables was basically a world in which fairy tale characters
What if fairy tale's real?
Yeah, what if fairy tale's real? If you remember that show Once Upon a Time that was on the ABC network, what if that show but good?
Yeah. What if that show was good?
Yeah, and it followed Sheriff Bigby Wolf. It's set in a modern setting in a basically an area of New York that is called Fabletown, where all these refugees from the fairy tale universe have kind of come to the real world. And Bigby Wolf is like the sheriff of this section of town, who is essentially a werewolf. His whole thing is, but he's also the wolf from Red Riding Hood. He's also who is also the wolf from the Three Little Pigs. And he's like reformed, and he's like, whatever.
Yeah, he's trying to be a good guy.
Yeah. And there have been a million spin-offs of it. There was Jack of Fables, because Jack and the Beanstalk, Little Jack Horner.
Yeah, that was all the same.
Jack jumps over the candlestick. They present it as the same Jack, and he's like this mythical figure that's done all this stuff. But Willingham announced on his personal blog that
he doesn't seem like a guy that would use Twitter.
He does not. No. That he has been unhappy with the treatment of the franchise that he started, and he's been unhappy with working at DC. He said in his long-winded, it was a very, very long article, but essentially said, when I started there, we had some problems, but we'd always kind of work it out. But because of the constant staffing turnover and current creative mindset at DC Comics and Warner as the overhead, whatever.
Warner Discovery.
That he wasn't happy. Yeah.
That everybody's been mad about.
Exactly. He has decided to release Fables into the public domain. Now, what that means, DC still owns the comics rights to anything that has been created up to this point. So you can't just go online and download a bunch of free Fables comics. That, unfortunately, is not the case.
I mean, you could.
You absolutely could. Listen, you absolutely could. Should you legally?
Legally, can we tell you?
Technically, no.
Yeah, we legally can't tell you that you should do this.
Right. But going forward, with it being in the public domain, it means that characters and scenarios that were created in the comics can be free use for any other project in perpetuity out there. Anything you want. You want Bigby Wolf to show up in your video game?
Yeah, so
done.
I'm making an announcement right now. Stay tuned for the Bigby Wolf Metroidvania.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Bigby Wolf should show up as a secret character in
Mighty Mini Golf.
In Mighty Mini Golf.
There we go.
Yeah, you should do an entire level that is set in
the Fables
in Fabletown. And yeah, Bigby Wolf is right there. And his first quote, which should say, "Well, I guess I'm public domain now. Let's golf," or whatever. Because it's totally allowed. That was the one thing that when Willingham signed his contract years and years ago, Fables has been going on forever, that he was the sole owner of the franchise.
It's one of the few creator-owned things that DC has, I believe.
Yeah.
They're usually pretty stingy about that.
Mm-hmm. They are really stingy about it, and they were so behind the story and the idea of this that's what they agreed to it. They're like, okay, yeah, no, do this for us, please. We'll give you anything.
I feel like I get the vibe from that article that he wasn't super happy with the Telltale game either.
Yes, that's what I got as well.
Which is surprising because it was really good.
Really good, but probably strayed. Willingham strikes me as the type of creator that if anything is even a hair outside of the original vision, he's an Alan Moore. I feel that he is maybe a less snake god worshipping Alan Moore.
And
real thing.
Telltale games like did that.
And they take liberties.
The Walking Dead game was like kind of their own version of Walking Dead. Like other characters from the comics would show up.
Because if you're going to make a something for another media, why make just a carbon copy?
Yeah, exactly.
You have to make, and there are some situations where things work in comic books that do not work in other mediums. It just doesn't happen. Doesn't work. So liberties have to be made. Willingham does not strike me as a very pleasant gentleman.
Oh yeah, he sounds like it wouldn't have been fun to work on that game.
I mean, allegedly he sounds like a real dink, but this is kind of cool that, and his whole thought process was, well, I could sue DC, but that would take a long time and
money
I don't have and time I don't have, because he's like 67 now. He's getting up there. So he just decided, you know what? I'm going to put the screws to him in my own special way. It's all free. Use it for whatever you want.
I thought about this at first. I'm like, oh, this is way cool. But like on second thought, like it is fairy tale characters though. They're already kind of in the public domain, yeah. And if you made something that was like Fables, it would take very few changes to make it not to be legally distinct enough.
Again, I brought it up earlier. Once Upon a Time was basically Fables, but the focus was shifted slightly.
Yeah, it was Disney.
It was Disney, but still, I mean, those first couple seasons
that's what I was to say. The early seasons were extremely.
Red Riding Hood was a minor character in Once Upon a Time, and to my knowledge, Disney hasn't done anything with that,
except for like those. There was probably an old like
a 1930s
like a
short,
silly symphonies about it or something.
Yeah,
but. Yeah, I guess it wasn't until later that we had like Frozen crap showing up. And,
that was when they were starting to run out of issues, run out of ideas. Yeah, well, but that one also but Once Upon a Time also had Frankenstein.
Oh, I didn't know they had Frankenstein.
Oh yeah, the guy who played the immortal guy from Heroes, the guy who looks like. Oh
wait, no, yeah, now I remember.
He looks like a Great Value. Great Value Doogie Howser. He does. He looks like yeah. They had like Frankenstein and stuff in it. I don't know.
So cool that it's public domain, but also like it's not that cool.
it's fine.
I mean, more things like this should happen. More IP like this should be released after time.
Yeah,
and maybe not necessarily Fables because it's not that old. But stuff like Mickey Mouse is over 100 years old, and Disney still has their claws in that. That he should be, at least older depictions of him should be public domain at this point.
Yes.
Stuff like Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes, absolutely.
Like they will sue you if you depict Holmes in a certain way that is from something newer.
Mm-hmm.
Like if your Sherlock Holmes is nice, I think there's some weird line that if you cross it, suddenly you're not public domain Sherlock Holmes anymore.
Right.
There was an article about it or a court case or something
something like that. Yeah, public domain is weird in general. As far as the Mickey Mouse thing is concerned, I have weird feelings about that one. I do think the part of me is like, yes, should be public domain. Absolutely. He's been around long enough. However, when you are the mascot of one of the biggest companies on the face of the earth,
and it's not like they don't still use him.
And if they had given up on using him, like if they would work it into the clause where they need to use Mickey actively in order for him to continue to not be in public domain, I would be fine with that, because the minute that they were like, okay, we are going to, close the doors on the Mickey Mouse, we're moving on to Iron Mouse because we're also Marvel or whatever.
It's Oswald, all about Oswald.
They switch back to Oswald.
Yeah.
That's when he would go into the public domain. I think that would be fine, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I feel weird about that one.
I think it should be depictions of Mickey Mouse as he looked in the 30s or whatever.
Yeah, the old rubber tube cartoons. Yeah, sure.
That's the Mickey Mouse that should be public domain.
Yeah. Oswald the Lucky Rabbit should be public domain.
Yeah, but they actually just released a couple of Oswald shorts that were new.
Oh, yeah.
Which, they just did that to be like,
to keep it.
There he is.
Hey, remember we have Oswald.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're still actively using him, so he's our trademark.
Yep. Well, I'll tell you what, we had some more things, but we've actually hit time for the week, so we kind of have to wrap things up for now. We'll save them for next week. It's a teaser for next week. We have more stuff.
PlayStation fans, we swear we were going to talk about something other than Nintendo, but it didn't. We ran out of time.
Yeah, well, sometimes we have too much.
And one of them was Final Fantasy VII, which we've already talked a lot about.
Sure, yeah. So anyway, you have been listening to Nerd Overload. Thank you very much for tuning in. You can find us each and every day over at nerdoverload.com. You can also find us on various social media such as Facebook, Twitch, Instagram, and Patreon at Nerd Overload Now.
You could email us at staff@nerdoverload.com.
You can give us a call on the Nerd Overload hotline. The number's 419-561-5556. Leave us a message and we'll play it on the show.
Yeah, which franchise do you think should be in the public domain that's been around for like 80 some odd years? Because I think it's like 79 years and something and some odd months.
I know, Disney keeps lobbying
they keep
it to
moving
be longer.
They keep moving the goalposts on that one. But yeah, who would you like to see?
Should I make a Felix the Cat game?
There you go. There you go. You can find all of our back episodes on podcast apps such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, and more. Finally, I would like to thank friend of the show and future guest host Parker for helping us out over on the Facebook page, and also David Pencil for the use of our intro and outro. You can find more of his stuff over at davidpencil.com. So again, thank you all for tuning in, and we will be back next week.
See you next week. Samantha's already leaving.